Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
This week, we're discussing if tech is to blame for making cycling and racing unsafe.
And we've got loads of hot tech, including a new body temperature sensor, a new top secret prototype disc wheel, updates to some time trial regulations, as well as comments of the week from the Bike Vault. Boom.
Let's do it.
Okay, this week's main talking point. We are discussing if tech is to blame for making cycling and racing more unsafe and more dangerous. Now, the reason we kind of wanted to discuss this was from a recent interview that was conducted by Sporza with Wout van Aert, where one of the subjects they discussed was safety in the peloton. And Wout van Aert said that he thinks limiting the speeds of the riders by limiting their gears could be one way to help make things safer.
Chris Froome also chimed in an interview with the Gazzetta dello Sport. And he also said that, reducing gearing could be a way to do it as well.
It's just a big no from me. I think there's a lot to unpack around whether tech is making cycling unsafe, but I certainly don't think restricting the gears on people's bikes is one way to go about it. I mean, go back a couple of years, junior racing still had restricted gears. That restriction was lifted a couple of years ago. Youth racing has restricted gears, and we still see loads and loads of crashes in all of these races.
Okay, so you are someone who's raced professionally, and you also raced on junior gears.
And youth gears, I've gone through the ranks.
Right.
Yeah. It's not impacting, in my opinion, it's not impacting the safety. What's impacting the safety of things is human and rider judgment on situations.
Okay.
I mean, you can't deny. I was going to say you can't argue about whether cycling has got more dangerous, but there are some metrics on that, so we'll discuss those in a minute because I found some. But the speeds of racing is without a doubt going up every year.
Yeah, and speed does have a factor in speed kills. I mean, viewers in other parts of the world won't be familiar with this cultural reference, but in the UK, we have these films that come out by the government.
We're used to
public information. We really haven't. I miss them because they were always really grim. And one of them was a speed awareness one where there was this mangled girl lying in the road with all her limbs pointing in the wrong directions, and she was basically going, "If you drive at 30 miles an hour, there's a 90% chance I'll live. If you drive at 40 miles an hour, there's a 90% chance I'll die." And so, but 10 miles an hour, big difference.
100% speed in any case results in a more significant injury risk. I can't argue that. But what I want to argue is that the rider is in control of how fast you go. And if you want to slow, in racing, for example, we often see crashes at high speed situations or when people are racing to get to a narrow point. You can just choose to slow down earlier, but everyone's choosing to ride faster and faster and faster to get there first. I mean, that, for me, is part of what happens when you just create competition.
Yeah. I mean, I remember last year, I spoke to Pippa York, right?
Yeah.
And she had a really good insight into what it was like racing in her era.
Yeah.
And the descents in the 80s and what they're doing. And arguably it's safer now with regards to, there's things like you have your bike computer, so you can see what the road's doing. You've got your radio in, so you can be told about hazards further down the road. You've got a helmet on. They weren't wearing helmets then.
Yeah.
And you've got much better brakes.
You've got better brakes, you've got better tyres, you've got bikes which are more stable at higher speeds.
But, her point was that back then, riders did tend to go slower on the descents and take it easier, but they pushed right up to the limits of the equipment. And they said they do that now. So it doesn't matter where you set a limit. Mm-hmm. The riders are in a racing situation. It's a competitive environment. They will push right up to that as far as they can go.
I think that...
And risks will be taken.
Well, I think that that comes down to competition. It's all about risk versus reward. If you're prepared to take the risk of maybe going fast around the corner, well, you might get the reward of being first through the corner and to the finish line, but then you might crash. And it's just who's prepared to push those limits. But you mentioned about head units, right? I think this is an element of tech which you could argue is beneficial, but also could be detrimental to safety. Because I think you could end up in situations where you're looking at the map in front of you and you go, I think I can go really fast on that corner, but it might not. The map might not represent exactly how.
There's been roadworks and they've changed the corner and made it much tighter.
But I think if you don't know a road and you can see that there's a hairpin, okay, you might slow down, or you might or it could work in the other way. You go, well, because I don't know what's coming up, I might be a bit more reserved. Therefore, you're a bit safer.
Yeah.
That can apply to not necessarily just racing, but cycling in general, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like it's difficult to argue that the advancements in technology are having a negative impact on safety compared to, I think, lots of the positive impacts that technology has. I think the positives outweigh the negatives, I think.
It's a complicated thing as to how you make bike racing safer.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that gears are the solution. I think if you reduce gear ratios and limit gear ratios, there's a number of big problems that come with that. First thing, sprints. Right? If you've got limited gears on, that's going to seriously change the dynamic of how a sprint happens if you keep everything else the same.
Well, everyone will just arrive in a massive bunch, even more so.
People will be spinning out in potentially, or running out of gears in the sprint. You know, that becomes problematic. So you're changing the dynamic of sprinting. And the other thing is on the descents, when you're going really quick, when you watch riders descending, it's typically not, like when they're hitting the really high speeds, they're not pedaling.
No, because you just can't, even with massive gears.
So you're not using that big gear, because what you're doing is using your gears out of the corners to accelerate and get up to speed. But you're typically not going to be in the 60-11 to do that. Like, you're going to be in an easier gear that you would still have even with restrictions. You accelerate up to speed, but the limiting factor in how quick you go on a descent or in a sprint is primarily aero drag.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Like, it's drag, right? So if you want to slow down cycling, that also impacts how quick you can accelerate out of a corner, but also massively, because of the way drag is an exponential function, like what your top speed you can reach. You know, you can make it very difficult for riders to go over 80 kilometres an hour if they're wearing clothing that's not great.
So in that case, you could kind of almost argue that tech is making it more unsafe. Because
bikes are getting faster.
Yeah.
Tech is definitely increasing the speeds.
Yeah.
You know, riders have been, you know, the power numbers we're seeing are definitely higher.
Yeah.
But also the bikes are undoubtedly faster. The tyres have lower rolling resistance. You know, the clothing is the biggest component.
Yeah.
Helmets are more aero. If you simply introduced a thing where, and it would be difficult to do this, but if you had like a regulation skin suit or a regulation jersey, they basically do this in mountain biking, but for a different reason, to preserve the aesthetic of the sport.
No skin suits in mountain biking.
But mountain biking is like no aero clothing. It has to be baggies. And
or downhill.
There's a similar sort of thing in various winter sports. You know, they wear baggies in the slope style and stuff. They're not wearing skin suits like the speed skiers.
Yeah.
That is the most effective way to reduce the speed.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a no-brainer.
And that way, you're not going to have the problem in the sprints where people are going to be spinning out. But
then you're limiting then it feels frustrating because you're limiting what are the technical advancements within a sport. Because I don't think you can argue, like, cycling is inherently a sport which is very dependent on the equipment and technology to make it what it is.
It is, but you're a massive Formula One nerd.
Yeah, I'm a nerd, yeah.
They did the exact same thing in Formula One following the death of Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, I think there's arguments both ways.
The Formula One cars that we have now are not as fast as they could be. If they went out and went, Formula One engineers, make the fastest car, it would be a lot faster than what we have.
But they're a lot faster now than they used to be. But they're also still safer than they used to be.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
So then that's like the good balance. It feels like.
Yeah, but that's for some engineers to solve.
Yeah,
that's like
not for us.
No, not for.
I've got some
lowly people.
I've got just talking about gears. Actually, seeing as that was sort of what prompted all of this. Junior gearing, as far as what I remember, it used to be was a 52 chainring was the biggest you could have, and a 14-tooth sprocket. So if you had that gearing at 100 RPM, that's like a top speed of 47 kilometers an hour. Whereas if you had a 5412, which I think you could say is like the bog standard for pro racers, for like big gears. It's only 10 kilometers an hour faster. So even restricting the gears to what juniors have.
5411.
Oh yeah, okay. So there's not a huge difference in it, basically. So I don't know. It's a tricky one to me. But outside of the world of racing, I think tech has undoubtedly made cycling safer. Think of
helmets have got better, yeah.
Helmets, bikes, we've got way better lights, we've got things just outside of the world of cycling.
Well, brakes have got so much better.
Yeah. So we were discussing earlier about the fact that maybe in the future you've got autonomous cars that could perhaps detect cyclists before a driver could do, and therefore the car's more aware and everyone's aware of the situation a bit better. I think tech, in general, is going to make cycling safer.
I mean, a lot of people would also argue that the problem with safety, from a technological standpoint, is there's a bigger role to be had within the actual race organisation and that side of things.
Like road furniture, the route. Like think of when, I'm using Wout van Aert as the example here, when he crashed in, was it the Tour of Vuelta last year? I can't remember. Whenever he had that big crash and really messed his knee up, he crashed into a rock face. But I mean, if you didn't have jagged rocks at the side of the course, he probably would have been all right.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do about that, though. You can't make everything safe. Otherwise, it's just a real tricky one for me. But I mean, it's not for us to just decide, is it? It's be interesting to hear everyone's thoughts in the comments section.
Well, that's it. I mean, keen to sort of hear what people think about, what would you think if there was regulations put in regarding equipment, such as clothing, that would make racing slower? Would you like that, or would you not like that,
I've just thought of one big bit of tech, which you haven't covered yet, which was something I wanted to discuss, was one big factor causing injuries and crashes over the last few years has been people at the roadside with smartphones hanging them out into the side of the road. And how many riders have we seen crash into them? Sepp Kuss crashed into a phone.
There's been that, but I mean...
I think that is an example of tech making cycling more dangerous.
The worst example, though, was in the Tour with the German lady with the OP, grandma, granddad.
But that wasn't even tech, that was a cardboard sign.
That was a cardboard sign.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
I think it all boils down to common sense, right? People need to be more aware of situations, and if you want to make things safer, you need to be more reserved, but that doesn't work in a race environment. Out on the road for normal cyclists, be more reserved, that's great. You arrive at your commute 20 seconds later, who cares? But from my perspective, tech in general is making cycling safer, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got some stats.
Oh, the stats, yeah. This was quite interesting. So I've taken these stats from Pro Cycling Stats.
Right.
And according to their data, there is a clear trend that cycling is getting more dangerous and there's more crashes every year.
That's interesting.
Even if you go back to 2017, right? 135 injuries that season. It goes up every single year apart from 2020 when it goes down because I'm assuming there was less races that year.
COVID.
Yeah, there you go. So otherwise, we're up at 321 serious injuries 2024 compared to 2014, 10 years ago, 119.
So, I mean, that does suggest that there is a trend that there is more injuries and therefore cycling is becoming unsafe or less safe. And the obvious solution, and this is the thing, I'm not going to say that is what's causing it. It's the obvious correlation is speeds are increasing.
I think if we could plot speed against this injuries per season chart, I think it would maybe follow a similar trend. I don't know.
But that's correlation, not causation. So I'm just not... I wouldn't be confident about saying that until we know. Yeah. Because it is just correlation at the moment. But it does stand to reason, and it does make sense. It's a sensible hypothesis.
One thing I did find interesting was if you break down the months of the injuries, January, February, March, April time, sort of highest months for injuries, that's when the classics are.
Yeah.
Pretty risky, the classics.
Pretty risky period,
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much more I think I can add to this, to be honest. I think I've said my piece about tech. I've made my point clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear what the viewers think about this.
All right.
And if, would it detract you? Because the nice thing as well is like, if you did have like clothing that limited the top speeds on, say, descents, it's not really going to make a big difference on the climbs.
No.
Like, it'll make a tiny bit of difference, but not like...
But yeah, I just... Slowing down people on the flats and descents, you're going to remove some riders' strength, like main attributes. Not every rider is successful just because they can cycle up the hill fast. Yeah, I don't know. We go on for ages.
Do you know what?
Anyway.
Life's not fair, Ollie.
Life is not fair.
Life's not fair.
There you go. Right,
There we go.
we'll pick out some of the best comments that you leave in the comment section for next week. And now, should we go on to Hot Tech?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, right, first up in Hot Tech this week, we have actually got some Hot Tech. It's from the brand called Core.
Oh, wow.
Did you like that?
Oh,
Was that a seamless link?
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I detected a little bit of sarcasm.
Come on, hit us with the stats.
Okay, so the Core body temperature sensor has been out for a little while, and they're basically releasing a new version, the updated one, the Core 2. And according to the press release and their website, they say it isn't just a smaller sensor, it's a smarter tool for real-time thermal monitoring. So you've got a 48% smaller device, 30% lighter, new LED indicators.
It wasn't exactly big and heavy before.
No.
Like, I genuinely, I'm a big fan of it, and I've never, thought that, but yeah, fair enough.
And basically some of the other changes are around the functionality of it itself. Like there's a detachable clip, so that I think one of the areas of potential weakness on the previous one was that it could damage the clip. And it says it's future-ready hardware designed to support upcoming software innovations. So presumably like hinting that there's already updates to roll out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm up for it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Next up in Hot Tech, let's reach here. This bad boy. Do you know what one this is?
I've got one.
The exact one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was quite excited to tell everyone about this, right? Because I think
This is what Santa brought you.
No. I think we all know I love tubeless tyres, right? And I kind of tend to pride myself on saying that no tubeless tyre really defeats me. The other week, tubeless tyres were defeating me, right? I had to resort to using one of these, and I've held off for a long time. But no matter what I did, I could not get the tyres to pump up with a normal track pump. So this bad boy, for those of you that don't know, you get your track pump, inflate it on the little nozzle at the top, get loads and loads of pressure inside here.
Charge this canister.
Charge it up, put this onto your tyre valve, bosh the lever down, and it just blasts air in the tyre super quick. Because that's often the issue, is that you can't pump with your normal pump quick enough that the air's coming back out.
Do you know what? It's like, I've just thought, I never thought this before, but I'd quite like to take one of these to like a swimming pool and then just see if I can like stay underwater.
No!
Using it just like...
Just siphoning bits off. I'm gonna say probably don't do that. Yeah.
One for GCN.
Yeah, anyway, this one is the Topeak Tubibooster X. There's loads of different versions and brands and models out there, but if you're into tubeless tyres, you're going to change them loads. Probably a worthy tool to add into
It is good at just blowing them onto the rim and seating them. Cool. Right. What are we... Oh, this is wicked. You're going to love this.
Oh, I'm excited already.
Okay, right. So you may remember that at the Tour and also at the Olympics, there was a lot of like buzz about Wout van Aert.
It's like the Wout van Aert show this week.
It is, yeah. Wout van Aert using a double disc on his TT bike.
A disc.
Which is technically UCI legal, right? The reason why you wouldn't do it is because it's really windy, and we saw that they got blown around. Anyway, we want to try this out for ourselves, okay? So we messaged Vision, who are one of our sponsors, right? We
literally did just drop an email and said, hey, we've got a brilliant idea.
Can you help us out?
Yeah.
They made us a prototype one-of-one front disc and a matching rear one. So this is a front disc, look, because it's got no space for the cassette. There's no free hub on there. It is just a front one with a disc on it, disc. How cool is that?
Two things. It's going to look absolutely mental in your putting that on a road bike. Imagine that.
Well,
and I'm also concerned. I'm excited to find out what it's like to ride with, basically. Yeah. I mean, it's mega that they've made it, and I can't wait to get out and try it out.
So, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because we're going to go and film riding this. We'll put it in the TT bike, And we'll have a go in the TT bike, and we'll have a go on a road bike as well.
Yeah.
And see what it's like riding a double disc.
Shall we try and do some sort of competition with it? I don't really know.
Of course.
Yeah. And we'll figure out something wild to do with it. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. Next up in hot tech, actually, I wanted to discuss what I would say is probably one of the OG Chinese brands, Winspace.
Yeah.
So they released an update to their T1550 bike last year. I think we didn't really make a big deal out of it. But I got served an ad the other day, basically, and what surprised me was the fact that we've got what is a Chinese brand essentially taking like mainstream brands' marketing targets and focuses and applying it to their brand as well.
How so?
Surprised me. Well, I looked at the ad and it was like the Winspace Generation 2 bike, 33% faster, 10% stiffer, lighter, more aero. And I was like, this is like just the same marketing like process that every single brand has done. And it's the first time I have seen what I would describe as a Chinese brand taking that approach, because normally one of the things that we say about these kind of brands is, well, you don't get all this like testing and numbers and facts and data to go by. But it's one of the first times I've seen it, and I was like, this is like a carbon copy of every other massive bike brand's advert. So yeah, I don't know what it means. Still, the prices of this bike are cheaper than some of the big brands that everyone has heard of, but it's interesting to see them taking that approach and trying to pretty much fit in with all the other big brands. In other news, actually, Selle Italia have acquired Vittoria shoes. This was released the other week, wasn't it?
Yeah, not Vittoria tyres.
No, Vittoria shoes. So Vittoria shoes, not Vittoria tyres, have been bought out by Selle Italia in a similar move to when they purchased Selle San Marco a few years ago. And I think it's interesting to see how they try to implement their ID fit with the shoes as well. Yeah.
Well, they're doing like the insoles for a while now, which are great. Like, I'm a big fan of those. I always have them in. I don't know, like having more support in my arches is good. But I mean, it's an interesting move. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you can see, like, you know, just like pretty much across the road is Physique.
Yeah.
Physique has saddles and shoes.
Yeah, I feel like they're expanding their range.
Yeah.
Becoming focused on that. It's all about brands building like the big picture up, isn't it? You've got the saddles, the contact points, the shoes.
It's cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what they create.
Yeah.
Love the saddles, so
there you go.
Do something good.
And then finally in hot tech, you have put this in. It's all about some updates to time trial regulations, potentially ruling out some of the obscure things that people are doing.
Yeah. So one of my friends, James Shrubshaw, wrote an article on Cycling Weekly about how the governing body of time trials in the UK was actually having their annual sort of general meeting, and one of the things they're going to be addressing is how people are sort of taking the mick when it comes to time trial regulations of equipment in the UK, particularly in road bike time trials. So there was a bit of controversy last year, which we did speak about on the show.
Oh yeah, we did, yeah.
So there's a chap called George Fox who was winning the road bike time trial national championships.
Yeah.
But he was doing it on a time trial frame that he'd modified with drop handlebars that weren't really drop handlebars. They were drop handlebars in the sense of in the words of the rule, they were drop handlebars, but they were very, very narrow, and he was using them in a puppy paws position. He was basically in a time trial position. Then he had loads of wacky aero fairings and aero bottles all over the place, right? I mean, it's not really. I mean, this is my opinion. I don't feel it's in the spirit of the rules of a road bike time trial.
Well, no, I think one of the main reasons, correct me if I'm wrong, for the road bike time trial category existing was to try and make it more accessible to people, that it doesn't feel like a technological arms race.
Yeah, and I'm all for it, like boosting participation in time trials, and it has become like an arms race, and it is very inaccessible because you to be competitive,
you need all the gear.
Yeah. Which is incredibly expensive. So I've kind of decided that when I do some time trials this year, I'm just going to do road bike ones. Yeah,
you said this the other day. It surprised me.
I'm excited about it.
You'll still do some proper time trial ones at all? Or
I might do the odd one, but to be honest, I like the idea of doing road bike ones, and it is more accessible, and it's still fun. It's great.
I'm actually doing a road bike time trial this weekend. Yeah. I haven't got crazy aero fairings or anything like that, though.
Do you want a disc?
No, it's against the rules. It's against the rules. Yeah.
There you go.
Right. That's it for Hot Tech this week. Don't forget, we've also got our weekly GCN Zwift club rides happening. Well, every week, because they're weekly. So if you want to get involved, join the GCN Zwift club and see you on Wednesday evenings. It's now time for comments of the week. Do you want to hit us with the first ones from the show last week?
Yeah. So this is when we were talking about all the different new kits and bikes that the
when we
teams
time
had.
travelled.
Yeah, when we time travelled.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Quite a few comments about our time travelling. This one from Jim Porter said, Ollie said, I'm colourblind. Also, Ollie, those yellows don't even match.
Yeah.
That made me chuckle.
I'm never going to believe you that you're colourblind. I'm sorry, but I just don't.
I am colourblind.
Yeah. Warhammer WH says Alex's Orbea is indeed bronze, dark bronze, in other words, metallic brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even argue that, to be honest.
Yeah, and then there was a lot of comments about your brown bike in a lot of videos. People love it. So AC Guy said, if Aaron's bike, love that joke's still going.
Yeah.
Make sure we keep that joke going in 2025, please.
Yeah.
If Aaron's bike has a name, it should be Brownie McBrownface, the brownest bike to ever be brown. There you go.
It's not brown.
It is brown.
It's bronze.
It's a celebration of brown.
Bronze.
It's a celebration of brown.
Right.
Here we go.
You're going to wind me up.
Okay.
Right, underneath your video, actually, of indoor cycling performance enhancing things, we had Neil D. Moss says, picnic freeze blocks in a jersey pocket or even in the radio pocket with bib shorts if they've got one, and just says don't put it directly against your skin. That's cheap as chips from your local supermarket and can be good for up to an hour, presumably helping keep you cool.
Yeah.
Scott Baker, I picked this one out. Scott Baker 1 says, Ollie doesn't need a vest to be cool.
Well, I'm glad someone's finally noticed.
Is this your fake YouTube?
Did I do that comment?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mum.
Yeah, thanks, Mum. We also had one of the pro bikes out at the weekend. Connor filmed a handful of pro bikes while I was out in Calpe a few weeks back. And we had the Cofidis Look bike with Campagnolo on. People buzzing to see Campo back in the World Tour.
Yeah, but not Mild Stallion, who doesn't like buzzing.
Well, no, I think they're saying that they enjoyed, yeah.
But he said, finally, a free hub that doesn't sound like a beehive.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Jimmy Hibbs 1 says, proper bike, lovely top tube and Campag. Hope Campag can get herself back in the game. Needs to make a silver group set. There are people crying out for old school bike romance. Can silver group sets make a comeback?
Well, they are doing on my retro build.
Well, I don't think it counts as making a comeback when it's just retro parts.
It's just me getting some old bits.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Right, time for the bike walk. It's blooming warm in here today.
Well, you got your hoodie on.
I know, but...
Right.
Bloody hell.
You can take your hoodie off if you want.
I know, it's just Marek's just turned it up to 1,000 degrees. And
it's not only me that's breaking into sweat. I'm not
in our new house.
Not far from sweat. Right, so now it's time for the Bike Vault. This is the part of the show where we take pictures that you've uploaded into the Bike Vault, judge them to be either nice or super nice. If they're super nice, we ring the bell. Michael K. I ring the bell. Michael K first with, well, actually, this isn't even a bike. It's just corroded bar tape. I picked it out because it was absolutely mad.
Yeah.
So
this is. I mean, yeah. I'm not a big sweater.
I mean, I am. It says 2 years of indoor cycling, finally changed the bar tape from the outside. Everything looked fine, but underneath the tape was surprised to find the remains of the electrolytes I'm using during training. And it's absolutely annihilated his handlebars.
There you go. Friend of the channel, Steve Grimwood, always sends me pictures of these from when customers' bikes are in his shop.
Yeah,
he always sends me these.
I feel like it's just really gross. So if you're indoor training a lot, change your bars, change your bar tape.
Check under your bar tape.
Yeah, clean it off.
Nice.
Nice.
I think, yeah.
Lucas with a Imonda ARL6 with scope R4 wheels, RSL seat post, brackets to dampen vibrations.
Yeah. What do you think of the shadow tree?
The shadow tree.
On the back wheel.
I really like this.
Oh, I think it's a mega bike. I love it.
Yeah, I like that.
Aluminium as well, love it.
The valves aren't aligned. The cranks are almost aligned, but I don't want to be too fussy.
No, I think we can go super nice on that one. This one's Dan, and he says third time's a charm. I think Dan has unsuccessfully submitted bikes in the past.
Yes. Sorry, Dan.
This is a custom fixie built by Dave Mercer of Mercer Bikes in Cape Town.
Hand-filleted lugs.
Oh.
Hidden fender mounts. This is really nice.
Beautiful, isn't it? Really like that.
Oh, just
gold chain.
Oh, gold chain, fist bump.
I think super nice. Really nice.
The only thing I say I don't quite like on this.
Yeah.
I feel like it needs matching depth wheel rims.
You don't like mixed depth wheels, do you?
No.
You're not.
No. Super nice though.
Yeah.
Next up is Scott. Says they've spent the last 6 months building a custom number 22 drifter.
Ooh.
SRAM Red Explorer 13 speed, 5 dev titanium cranks, and a polymer wheel set.
Why is number 22 called number 22?
It's the number on the periodic table for the element titanium.
Yeah!
Science friends.
Science friends.
I knew you were going to put me on the spot on that, then I actually looked it up yesterday.
Oh, there you go. That is pretty special, isn't it?
I've said it a million times before. I'm a sucker for a titanium bike.
Those 5 dev cranks look incredible.
Yeah.
And the stem, look at that.
The stem's mad.
Wowzers.
Can we just immediately super nice it?
Yeah. Also, that's a nice. I want to go there. It's a bit of a jaunty angle, but I don't care. Nice.
Who needs socks next?
This is a Q TF1 triathlon bike.
Oh no. They say the UCI's got no jurisdiction here.
Well,
I wish it did have.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's too much going on here, I'm afraid.
I mean, oh dear.
I've seen these bikes a number of times, and I just think they're a little bit too radical for me.
Too radical for you?
Yeah, the geometry, it's just, I'm just not really feeling it.
I think we need, right, there's that guy that comments every week saying week number 1,000 of asking for a UCI.
Yeah,
no
week number 100 asking for a UCI.
I think we need a comment
t-shirt.
saying week number 1 of asking for, I wish the UCI had jurisdiction in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I often see that person who comments, and every week I think, do you know what, I might just make them a t-shirt one week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Mark Baker has got what? Oh, what's this? A Ribble Endurance SL 105 disc.
So they've done a remarkable weight loss journey from 130 kilos down to 88.
Well, do you know what? They'll like this week's video on GCN, which is about weight loss.
There you go. Well, I mean, they've done a lot of the hard work already.
Yeah.
We need to judge it. Sorry.
There's a lot of gubbins on there.
I want to say super nice, but it looks a little bit busy.
But do you know what? It's winter right now, and for me that's a perfect example of a bike in winter mode.
I would agree.
You know, the guards, the big light on the back.
I've got those mud guards. Yeah.
It's a celebration of winter.
Yeah, and bronze.
They've also look. Oh yeah, that's good. I'm into it.
You happy?
Yeah, I'm
good. Right, last one for this week is from Cat3 Road Racer, and they say Alex loves white bikes. Yes, I do. This is what is this?
Scarab.
Oh yeah.
But it's a jaunty angle.
Valves, wheels, lines.
It's all happening.
Gears wrong.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Sorry.
Yeah. Right.
That feels like a bit of a letdown to finish on that one. Yeah. Please do get involved in the comments section down below and share your thoughts on our main talking point about if tech is making cycling more dangerous. Let us know whether you agree, disagree. It'd be good to get the discussion flowing. That's it for us, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to go now.
Yeah.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.